I hired an investigator and found out my husband's shameless addiction, so I greeted him in a hallway full of suitcases and divorce papers. My husband and I have been married for just over a decade, and it has been, for the most part, a loving marriage centered around our two beautiful children. He travels for work, is constantly glued to his phone, and sometimes would abruptly pop out for errands that he has always been incredibly vague about. Initially, these didn't concern me too much. He has a very demanding job that has allowed us to have a lifestyle I never thought possible, which meant that I could leave work to be with the children, take us on wonderful holidays, send the children to a great school. I always felt that complaining about his work, phone, computer, and random emergencies would be selfish considering everything he does for us. However, 2 weeks ago, I started getting suspicious after I had found a condom in the inside pocket of his blazer. There was no reason for him to have it there as we only ever have sex at home, and frankly, it isn't something we do as often as we used to. This prompted me to do something I never thought I would do. I found an opportunity to get into his phone when he wasn't looking. I'm not sure what I was looking for. I first looked at his photos but couldn't find anything. Then I thought I would check his messaging apps. Both were password locked, which I found very odd. Only iMessage could be accessed, but there was barely anything there. At this point, I had a sinking feeling something was up. Last year, a friend was in a similar situation and used a digital investigator to learn more about her absent and secretive fiancé. The investigator discovered that this man had been living a double life. I asked for the investigator's details and requested they pull together anything they could find about my husband. The investigator spent about a week digging online and returned to me with a report that changed my life forever. I got a call from the investigator, warning me that my husband's report would be a very difficult read and that I should open it in private when I could process it fully. Since I received it, I have barely been able to eat, sleep, properly take care of the kids, or speak to him. And yet he is so absent-minded, he doesn't even realize something is wrong. It turns out that my husband of over 10 years has been having an affair with a woman, 15 years his junior, financing this woman's lifestyle and her failed business venture, attending sex parties with her, where they have sex with other partners, posting in a revolting online sex forum, including pictures of his genitals, and details his addiction to porn and escorts to his creepy online friends. Based on this post online, has been spending thousands on escorts as far back as 7 years ago. I have no idea where to go from here. Update. I chose to wait until after New Year's as I did not want to rob the children of one last Christmas and New Year's holiday as a family. In the meantime, I researched solicitors and sought recommendations from trusted friends. Rather humiliatingly, I did, after much urging on this website, also schedule and go through with an STI test. It was horrifically embarrassing, but I am relieved to say that it came negative. He made my job incredibly easy by flying out for a work trip on the 2nd. I immediately got the ball rolling, met with the solicitor, packed up all of his belongings into 6 suitcases, had the locks changed, and spoke to a child psychologist to work out the best way to explain things to the kids, who are far too young to understand the full picture, of course. Fast forward to a week later, and upon his return, I, having made sure the children were picked up by my mother after school, greeted him to a hallway full of suitcases and divorce papers. I had printed out the report in full and started walking him through it before he broke down in tears. It was a compulsion. He was unbelievably stressed, and that if I left him, he would have no choice but to marry the other woman, whereas he would end it immediately if I were to take him back. This last part was truly the nail in the coffin. I don't think he even realized just how manipulative a comment that was to make. After hours of a back and forth and groveling, he gave up. He was left at the bottom of the stairs in the entrance to our home with his suitcases, waiting for a cab to take him to God knows where. Final update, 2.5 weeks later. Since our separation, my soon-to-be ex-husband has fluctuated between remorseful and completely delusional. One day, he is begging for another chance, promising to change, telling me he will attend therapy and fight for our family. The next, he is enraged that I have ruined his life and taken away the stability he had with our children. He has tried to paint himself as the victim, conveniently glossing over his years of deceit and betrayal. At one point, he even suggested that we could remain partners, but live separate lives, his way of trying to have his cake and eat it too. The most frustrating part has been when he makes an argument that this was a mental health issue, or an addiction issue. It is 100% an entitlement issue. He is currently on supervised visits while we establish a longer-term arrangement. The children are adjusting as best they can, and I am doing everything possible to keep their lives as stable as possible. As for myself, I am healing, slowly but surely.